When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. That just might work.
Welcome back to another episode of the Michel Matter podcast. I'm Jocks Michel.
And I'm Jackie Michelle.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Oh.
Another episode.
How you feeling?
Much more organized than the last episode where we were talking about how we have to adjust our calendars and organize our life. It's here. We are getting a hold of it, right? Like,
I think so. I mean, I feel like maybe because we've been so busy the last 2 weeks, it's like it doesn't matter what kind of calendar you got. Like, there's nothing that can help that. It's just
got things to do.
Yeah, you got to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're using this new app now, and I like it. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's something that we can both agree on. It has the features that we both want. It has the layout that you like.
Yeah.
And I just like the syncability between that and my other calendars. So I think we found a medium where it's like, okay, something that works for both of us.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So what have we been doing? I feel like love is in the air, 2021. Yeah. So everyone who couldn't get married in 2020 was like, oh, we doing it. Like,
yeah, I feel like a professional wedding guest at this point.
It's nice though.
Yeah. It's been fun because these are weddings where we're just guests. So we just show up, sit where they tell you to sit, eat what they give you to eat, and just vibe,
Yeah, so we have back-to-back weddings.
And back-to-back weekends.
Back-to-back weekends on top of birthdays.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 weddings, 4 birthdays? 4 birthdays.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
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 It's been a lot.
And then another birthday tomorrow. So
and Father's Day is next week. And it's just been a continuous run of busyness for us and making the rounds, going to different events, you got to show up for the birthdays.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
Yeah. It's been a lot of long nights. I feel like tonight I should actually get good sleep. And I try to be good about it. I try to separate work from home from this. But the last 2 weeks, man, it's been a struggle.
Yeah, because even last night, we didn't get home late from the wedding.
Yeah.
Actually, and that to me was the perfect time to get back from a wedding.
Really?
It wasn't too late, but it was still a long period. It wasn't a short wedding. We got all the way through it. We were there till they cut the lights on. Yeah, we were, right? Yeah. We were there till
but it wasn't that late.
But it wasn't that late. So I was I kind of appreciated that. Yeah. So you get home, but it was just fatigue, just tired.
Even getting ready to go to the wedding, it was oh man, I need coffee or something. I need something. And coffee don't do nothing to me, but
it don't.
I just needed something.
I need the placebo
to motivate me. Because it was tough, but we getting our life together, y'all. Let me know how y'all deal with this. Balancing life, because it's just life. Comes at you fast. But yeah. And then we had guests that stayed over.
Yeah, but before we get there, I do want to say congratulations to the 2 couples that we witnessed getting married. So shout out to the fans and the Pierres.
And the fans we've had on the
podcast before. Yes, we have. Congrats on their nuptials and the Pierres. The work starts now, guys. So we wish you all the best. Because that's the thing. After the reception and all the music dies down and all the fanfare is gone, it's just you and that person.
Yeah.
Life is beginning. It's beautiful, but
it is. Enjoy your honeymoon.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
All that. Yeah.
Yeah. So congrats again.
Yes.
But yeah, we have been having guests stay over.
Back to back as well.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
we were saying, or Jackie was saying today, we need a break.
I said we need a honeymoon.
We need a honeymoon, but I mean, I took that as we need a break, but a break for us. a break for us.
Yeah. Like, I would be okay with just, like, honestly, I mean, I would be okay with it. That would be nice to just stay home for, like, a week and just do nothing. A week is kind of long.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, 3 days.
I can't do a week.
3 days straight, no plans, no nothing. But to actually go somewhere and have, like, a little vacation would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, my job has been pushing me to take some days off, so yeah, they don't like people like saving them all up and then taking bulk. So yeah, so I'm definitely gonna keep like those last 2 weeks. Those definitely gonna be off, but I still got a lot of the days left. Might have to figure something out. Yeah. So that might work out.
It might. I think so.
But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been busy as far as like personal life. And then business has been busy too. Yeah. Because a lot of those weddings I was also doing work for. But I do have some exciting announcements in the following weeks on Instagram that you guys will hear. There's just like, wow, okay, things are working. Like things are actually happening, and you just can't really see it when you're actually in the thick of it. But it's nice to see, like, oh, people are paying attention. Like this is real. So you guys will hear about it. I try to keep it low key, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it. So yeah,
excited for that. I think that's gonna be cool. Yeah. And just the way we keep, trying to glow up and grow in all aspects. I think that's great. I don't really got nothing else.
Yeah. As you guys know, you can subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts and send us comments on the gram at Michel Matters and on Twitter
at Coach_JOX. That was my part. I blew that.
And you can leave us a voicemail at 954-652-6519. And check out our website if you want to support the podcast through our sponsors, through merch. All that stuff is on our website.
All right. Okay. To the Michel Matter.
Okay, so for this episode's Michel Matter, we have one of my good friends, Raquel. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Me too. So Raquel and I probably met back in 2012 when I was back from New York, and I got plugged into a small group because, I was coming back with no church home, and so my friend was telling me about it. And ever since then, we just hit it off. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen her through different stages of life. So to see where we are now is just crazy. But thanks for joining us. Tell the podcast a little bit about you, what you do.
Okay. I'm Raquel. I'm a speech and language pathologist. I'm from Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica, but raised here in Hollywood, Florida. I'm a mom of a 5-year-old son. So I recently wrote a book. So I'm an author also. And I think that's it.
So what was that like working a full-time job, writing a book, and being a mom? That seems like a lot. How'd you handle that?
It was a lot. But you know how everything slowed down last year? I had been writing for a long time, but I found the right publisher, the right person to kind of push me to kind of gather everything together. So it was good because I had someone constantly pushing me. And then I had family members who would support me. And when my son went to sleep, I was writing, I was typing, so it wasn't too bad because I had everything together. I just had to really organize it and kind of type it up and put it together. But it was definitely a process. But I was still thankful that last year everything kind of slowed down and gave me that time to kind of put everything together.
Right. So what made you decide to write a book? Because, I mean, we all know having a testimony and sharing that is important. But it's still like, oh my gosh, I'm about to tell all my business. Like, what made you decide to do that?
Yeah. So for one, I just know that when I was going through my divorce, I just felt very alone. Like you feel like the people that are in your corner should be like right there with you, but that's not how it always happens. Yeah. And so I was like, what? I don't want anyone to go through this and feel just very alone, because we know that a lot of people go through it, but not a lot of people are going to be open about their story. And I don't like that, I wanted someone to be open. Like I found people, I read other books, but it was not like transparent. It was hard. It was hard to kind of see like what was really going on and what happened to this person. So I was like, you know what? Like I want to be able to help someone else. I want to be able to tell my story. And I think also for me, it was like a completion to a chapter in my life. I looked at it as like, you know what? Now that I wrote this book, it's kind of like the closed chapter of this part of my life. And so it was also freeing for me too.
Right. Yeah. Do you have like a background in writing? Because I struggle with like writing emails and subjects for emails sometimes. So to write a whole book, was that like out of character or was that up your alley?
I feel like it was up my alley because I like writing. I've been writing since like elementary school. I've always had a diary, right? And even in like middle school, me and my friends would write journals to each other. Even though we saw each other, I guess, I don't know why we wrote. I have like a couple of like notebooks filled with like crazy stuff that we used to write each other. And like, I like doing poetry. So I guess I really just like writing. I've always liked writing. And I feel like I express myself the best through writing because I can like sit down and like kind of process my thoughts and like get it all out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm already a few chapters in to the book, but I'll kind of ask some background questions. Okay. All right. So you start off obviously talking about how your relationship started and everything. And I like that you kept your ex's name under wraps. But what made you decide to name him Dice in the book?
Ooh, I love that question. No one has ever asked. So I felt like I compared him to like the roll of a dice or die because I felt like you didn't know what kind of person you were going to get.
Gotcha.
I didn't know if I was going to get the charming guy that I fell in love with or this guy who seemed like he was taken over by the devil. Like, it was kind of like, I didn't know, And so it was very hard in our marriage to know what to believe, because I felt like he told me the things I wanted to hear. So it was very hard to let go. So that's why I named him Dice, because I felt like you didn't know what you were going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't read the book, and I don't know you as well as Jackie does. So she may know the answer to some of the stuff that I don't know. But so in the relationship, do you feel like it was a slow decline, or was it kind of rapid? Like, were there signs that you just missed them?
Or even before marriage.
Yeah. Like, what was that process?
I feel like looking back, there were definitely a lot of signs, one thing that I would want to do this time, and I would recommend other people, is like, if someone tells you that, they're a good person and they have like all these good qualities, definitely like see who can vouch for them outside of their family members. So that's one thing. Like, he didn't really have a lot of friends. He didn't have like any friends. Like, I was like his only friend. So that's something. No one could really vouch for his character, And like, there were just different things that I always said, like, well, we have the Lord, so we can conquer everything. So even all different things that were like questionable, I was like, but we have God, so we'll get through it, So like, even though I saw some things that were flawed in his character, like not, he didn't forgive easily. His family didn't really approve of us getting married. So different things like that should have like really made me think about it. But all my mind was set on, we're Christian, so we can conquer everything because we have God. So I didn't look at anything like, oh, this is impossible. you know.
Yeah. Do you feel like that same? Because you said like you knew that you're a Christian and that you had God. Do you feel like that was reciprocated on the other end? Was that a mutual like feeling between the two of you?
At the beginning, I believed it was. At the beginning, I don't know what happened. Like you asked about a decline. I think that there was some type of decline. I think that marriage got really tough, and it was tougher than he expected, or than we both expected. Even though we kind of went through premarital counseling, different things like that, I feel like when you're actually hit with the reality of everything, things kind of change, and you're really pushed to like your limit, and you didn't even know you had that kind of a limit. So I feel like there was like a gradual decline, as things got tougher. He had decisions to make. Do I still want to fight for this, or do I, can I still work with this, or do I want to? So I feel like eventually he decided not to. And whereas I would go and get help from like a counselor, he sought out people at work to get help from. And of course, those people at work didn't want him to be married.
Right.
So
I guess, when did you know that it was time to leave? Was that a mutual decision, or were you just like, okay, this, like, I don't know. I just, that's one of the questions I always feel like divorced people don't really give you an answer to.
Yeah, girl. Now, I didn't leave. So that's number one. Like, I thought, like, I didn't want the marriage to end at all. Even though he was doing, having these affairs and doing all this stuff, like, I was still praying for this man to like that his heart would change, So I didn't leave, like I felt like I couldn't, I thought I did everything, like everything you could think of to like save your marriage. I probably did. So, but what led me to the point of strength to be like, you need to go because you're not changing, was that like he had came back. Because the thing is, every time, so he would leave, like he had a pattern of leaving, but every time I prayed for him to come home, he would eventually. The last time that he did that, I was like, I'm giving you this year to kind of go to counseling on your own. And so when I saw that throughout that year, things were crazy and he still wasn't deciding to go to counseling, and we had our son, I was like, okay, I do not want my son to grow up thinking that this is normal. Cause he was like, I want to stay for the baby. You can stay in this room. I can stay in this room. And I was like, no, I don't want my son to see. Yeah. So the breaking point for me was not even like the infidelity. It was really like my son. Like, I didn't want my son growing up and seeing that. And that was a very tough decision. But like, I was like, maybe you should go live with your mom until you figure things out. And there was no figuring things out for him. He just kind of moved in with that woman that he was with. And then he filed for divorce. And then after that, like, I had no choice, but to sign those papers. Right. So that was, I think that was the breaking point for me, seeing that he wasn't going to go and get help. And then my son, I think my son is the one who really gave me that strength, because before that I was very passive, like I would walk on eggshells, because I was like, I don't want to do anything to make him leave again. Yeah. It was very tough for me. I was not strong about it at all. Right.
Yeah. No. Just processing. Yeah. I was just processing it because I was trying to understand the logic, right? So I'm assuming when you guys first got together, you're both professing Christians, and at some point you have to rationalize, like, as a Christian man who's having an affair and your wife's fighting for their marriage, on the basis of your faith. Even, I'm assuming at some point you had to even like question his faith and where he stood with Christ.
Definitely. So he didn't grow up Christian, right? So I grew up Christian, and I had moved away for college, and then he decided to, start following God during that time. So I don't know if he started following God for me, or was it like really him? And like at the same time, he wasn't discipled by anyone. You know, after I graduated from college and I came back home, then our church, you know, had a plant here in South Florida. And so there was a couple of guys that, you know, were trying to disciple him, but I don't really know how honest he was with them. He really shared his struggles. So how did he process what he was doing with God? I don't really know. Like, I guess he felt like God wasn't working for him. Yeah. God didn't take away the struggles he was having in his marriage. You know, he was going through all these different things and all these different emotions. And I guess he felt like he couldn't go to God or couldn't go to another brother and express it. I know that he did often feel like the Christian brothers that he was around weren't like real, like they were being like, fake or like too good to be true.
Yeah.
Like a constant feeling for him. So he probably felt like he couldn't connect to them. He couldn't relate. So, yeah. I mean, go and do what the other group is doing, I guess, who accept you or you feel like accept you more, or people who you feel like you can relate to more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to actually ask what your relationship was with the church during your marriage, like together, because I remember seeing both of you at small group. So how do you feel like during your marriage and separation and divorce, you know, what was that relationship like with the church? Do you feel like it was helpful? Did they counsel you guys? Like, how did that work out?
Well, so we were a lot of us were young, you know.
Yes.
We all got married around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually had a small group too. We were leading our own small group too. And so the leaders of the church, yes, they did counsel us. But at the same time, I know that he probably looked at them like, y'all are married around the same time we are. So like, how do y'all have, you know, any wisdom? Mm-hmm. They definitely did try to talk to the both of us and express different things to us. But I don't think he could receive it at that time.
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
And what about during the divorce? Like, were you then being counseled on your own or?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Really good counselor. Had to go through a couple to find a really, really good one, but I found a really good one and I've been with her ever since.
Yeah.
How long after the divorce do you feel like it was okay to write the book, share? Did you feel comfortable, or was it a part of like your healing process?
It has been a part of my healing process. It was a couple years after the divorce that I decided to write and publish my book, because I've always wrote. You know, one of the ways that I healed was writing to God, writing to my ex, you know, things that I would never send to him, but it just felt good to kind of get that out. Yeah. So it was a couple of years after the divorce that I felt like I was in a good enough place to be able to share and be able to actually help other people. And, you know, people are always like, Raquel, are you healed? You know, are you ready to date and all these different things? And I'm like, there's like levels to this thing, you know, like you ever been through something where it's like, you feel like that might always be a trigger for you. That might always be like a struggle. You know that you've gotten stronger. You know, you don't cry like you used to when it first happened. But I mean, you know, when I see him and I see his girlfriend, do I still feel some type of way? Like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm going to kill them anymore. Right. But does it make me feel some type of way? Yeah, it doesn't make me feel like when it first happened and I wanted to like cry and I, you know, felt like life was over. But I would be lying if I said, oh, I don't feel anything. No, I feel it. It just doesn't feel the same. I feel stronger. I feel like, you know, Lord, you see what's happening. You know, you help me to deal with this, to have peace, to have forgiveness, you know? So I feel like the book has just helped me to kind of close the chapter, because there's a lot of like things that I might never know, you know, a lot of questions that I'll probably never get answered. And even, you know, he's apologized, but I honestly be feeling like you don't know what you're apologizing for. You kind of apologize because you know that this was wrong, but you don't understand the depth of it, you know, like not only did I lose an ex-husband, but I lost like a best friend. Like we were friends from high school. Yeah. I don't think I talked to anyone from high school. I don't even know. Like he was like, we were best friends, you know? So, what was the question about like me feeling comfortable enough to open up? Yeah. So a couple of years after, and that's why.
Did you ever wrestle with yourself as far as like if you should write the book or like talk to him about, you know, what's going on? You know, I'm writing this book and you are in it. Or like even, you know, one day my son could read this book. Like were these things that you thought about before writing?
Girl, yes. I wrestled with writing the book throughout the whole process. I kept calling my publisher. I was like, you know, I don't want him to feel some type of way. And she's like, you're like used to other like taking on other people's stuff and not like, you know, it's about you. She's like, it's more than just about like how he feels or how whoever feels. Like it's about like you and what the Lord is telling you to do and how this is going to help other women in the process. So did I wrestle? Definitely. But you know, I had a really good publisher who's also a life coach who really helped me through it and to help me like remember the purpose, to remember why I'm doing this. Yeah. And then, and I did wrestle with like telling him. I remember, I think I called you, Jackie, and I was like, and I think you were like, you could tell him. And I was still wrestling with, I'm like, what? You know, so it took me a long time to tell him, but I did think about what you said and you were like, how would you feel? And I was like, that's true. You know, so I prayed about it. I prayed about how to go about it. It was definitely not easy, but I called him up. You know, I told him I had something to tell him. And then he was like, I'm proud of you. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I was like, you know, like this is like the story of us. And he understood. He said that he was just happy that I actually got to do something that I wanted to do. Because there's a lot of things in the marriage that I said that I wanted to do that I never did. You know, well, you know why I didn't do it, right? Because like you had me struggling anyhow. But yeah. So like he said that he was proud of me. You know, I told him, I was like, you should probably read it just in case anyone comes to you and they're like, oh, she said this and this. You can kind of know what the truth is. But he was like, no. But when the book, you know, finally got published and I got the book in my hand, I was able to show him. So he's seen it. Okay. You know. So
yeah, you brought up a good point because you were saying that there are things that you wanted to do that you did not do because of your relationship. What would be some of the, like, I would assume that would be something that you would advise other married couples to, you know, as like, I don't know how to put this into words, but like, don't do this, you know? What are some things that you would warn married couples against to prevent this?
Still have like who you are, you know, like if you're passionate about this, still go after it. Yeah. You know, don't get so consumed, easier said than done, but don't get so consumed with your family and your husband and all these different things that you lose like the things that you love to do. You know, I have friends who like the husband, you know, he goes to play basketball because that's what helps him kind of like, you know, get back into the zone, kind of like refresh. And then the lady, she's like really crafty. So she does like different things to craft, you know, that crafts and that. And I love you guys too. Like Jackie does her stuff, you know, Jocks does his stuff. But of course you guys are better together, but you guys both have your individual things that you pursue that makes you who you are. And it makes you so much a better person, even in your marriage, because you actually get to do the things that you love and that you're passionate about. You know, like we all have these passions. We all have these gifts that the Lord has given us. When we kind of put all these other things on top of it, of course we love our families. Of course we love our spouses. But when we put all these things on top of it, we kind of lose ourselves. Yeah. And that there goes the decline of your mental health. There goes the decline of different things in your marriage. Like you need to be whole with the things that you're doing. He needs to be whole. Y'all come together as the team that you are and you pursue these different things. And when you're not, it's so unbalanced, you know? And I feel like that's not how the Lord made it to be. Like I felt like he wanted you to come together as two whole people and pursuing him together and following your dreams and going about it that way. Yeah. And so that's what I would say. Like, y'all, of course, y'all have y'all date nights, you know, y'all fill up with the Lord so that you can overflow into one another, you know, your individual time with God so you can overflow into another. And then, you know, knowing that you don't idolize each other, you know, which is so hard. Like, I remember I always struggled with things like, I will love, like, like, I don't know, like, you know, like some things that you say to your spouse, you just I would always be so, like, at first I was like, careful, like, this just seems like something you would only say to God. Like, you know, like there's just some things that you want to say to your spouse that's like, I will never live without you or something like that. And it's like, yeah, you mean that, but like, maybe it's only better to say that with God. You know what I mean? Like there was like a struggle to say, of course I felt it, but I just wanted to keep, at first I wanted to keep God in his place. Eventually that's not what happened, you know, because you get so busy with life and you kind of just do what's quick. But I would say keep the first thing first, keep God first, pursue him, and he will teach you even how to love each other, how to, you know, be with one another. Yeah. So I'm always supporting, like when I lived with my friends, because I moved away after the divorce to kind of get away from different things. When I lived with the couple that I was living with, you know, I was always like, I will babysit for you. Go on date nights, you know, go, please, you know, do what you guys got to do. So date nights, doing things, you know, individually to come together and be much stronger together.
Yeah,
for sure.
So how would you describe your book? Is it like a how-to of marriage, or is it more of a, you know, the cautionary tale, or is it just chronicling like your story and you sprinkle in, you know, tips or advice? Like how would you describe it?
Yeah, so it's definitely my story. And then I do give advice to couples and just single people, period. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you think it's useful for like also a married couple? Like, how would you like, could you pitch it to me? Like, this is why you should read my book.
Yes. I would definitely say it's for married couples. So you can kind of see like different things that may be happening in your marriage and you're like, oh snap, I should really deal with this. Because sometimes we feel like we can just snuff things under the rug. Like, oh, I had one bad thought. I'm not going to like deal with it because it's just like one bad thought. But those things build up on one another. Mm-hmm. So you never know, like read it and kind of, you know, see like, can you see anything in yourself? Can you see different similarities? I feel like it's very relatable to anyone, married or not, you know, to kind of help think about things differently, to kind of help even like another person who may be struggling, you know.
Okay. I'm going to read it.
Yeah. Read it. Cause like, you know, it's definitely a prayer for me that like you can relate to it and you can learn from it and that it applies to you somehow and that you'll be blessed by it. So I you know, cause sometimes you don't know how people get to this point, but I feel like in my book, you can kind of see how someone could get to this point.
Yeah. And the perspective, I guess, that the book is written in, is it like strictly your perspective? Like, is it one-sided, or are there some reflective moments where you kind of give, okay, I see where maybe this could have been, you know, different on my end? Like, how did you deal with that? Because it's easy to tell the story from one side, I guess.
Right? Yes. I mean, I think I did explain a little bit how, like, you know, both of us had like childhood trauma, you know, but where I went to like a counselor to get help, he kind of went, you know, to someone else to talk about it. And I think I also mentioned about like just how, you know, both of us were going through different things. You know, both of us didn't always see each other in the best light, you know, so we both needed help.
Right. So what is life like now after being in a relationship for so long? As a single woman, what is that like?
Back in these streets?
These streets are horrific. These streets need to be redone.
Right.
It's so tough. You know, there are good days and there are bad days. You know, when I first got divorced, I jumped into a relationship quickly. And this guy was like probably even worse than my ex.
Oh, wow.
and he proclaimed to be a Christian. I got to be careful of these people, like, you know,
Yeah.
but so I've been on like dating apps. It just seems like, first of all, I've been out of the game for a very long time, you know? So when people be like, oh, we're not in a relationship, we're just talking, or like, we're just, what do they have like these names? Like, I don't know. I'm like, talking is a relationship. That's the part where you're getting to know them. You're in a relationship. Like, I just have these discrepancies with people like titles. I guess I'm just not used to those things. Like, you're talking to 5 different people. Why?
Yeah.
And so it's like those.
I mean, that's always been a thing.
Yeah.
It just, I think it's way more common now. Like,
Yeah.
I think back when, you know, like when we were dating in high school, when you were dating in high school, it was like, oh, I'm talking to this person until like 2, 3 in the morning. Like, who else are they talking to?
Yeah.
You know, like, and if they are, then it's kind of like a turn off, because it's like, well, then why am I going to talk to you?
Exactly.
Whereas now it's like, oh no, like that's just what people do.
Yeah. Like now it's like talk to different people. It's like you gotta, like, when they're saying they're pursuing you, it's like you gotta like be like, are you pursuing other people too? And then people have like sex buddies. They have like people that they just go out. It's not a relationship. They just fulfill each other's needs. Like, it's a lot going on these days.
Yeah.
So after divorce has been very interesting. I've been working a lot on myself to kind of know, you know, different things about myself and things that I do not want. But it's been interesting because I'm like having to start over. That's like weird. And having to start over without being attached to someone that I've been attached to for so long.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah. And it has up and down moments.
I think something you wrote in the book that was interesting that I never even really considered was that, like, you had to figure out what you were going to do with your car, like how you were going to get your oil changed. I guess because like that's something that he would do, or, you know, sleeping alone. So what were some of those other adjustments that you kind of had to make?
Yeah, I think that just like not talking to anyone, like literally not having anyone to text. Or okay, now I'm not saying not anyone. I have friends.
Right.
That the guy that would be like, hey babe, I got you. Or like, hey babe, how was your day? Or, you know, you want me to do this for you? What are we eating? So not having that dialogue was really something to get used to. It was like this emptiness. Oh, and so I think a lot of the times I busied myself, you know, with like social media, with like anything literally, which was not healthy, you know? So I had to learn to really get closer to God, and I'm still learning what that looks like. But yeah, that was tough. Having that emptiness, that quietness.
Yeah.
You know?
Now that you're back on the dating scene, what are like some qualities that you're looking for, and like red flags, I guess, that you know, like you can spot now to weed them out?
Okay. So are your listeners like single men? Let me stop.
We got a couple.
So some red flags, some things that I want to look for. So I definitely want to know that, like, if you're saying that, you know, you're this good guy, like, can people vouch for you? You know, I want to see, like, can your friends vouch for you? Do you have like accountability? You know, people to kind of like tell you like, okay, this is okay, this is not, you know, are you open to accountability? You know, I want to know, are you open to counseling? You know, because that's huge for me. You know, are you okay? And I don't want to say, are you Christian, but like, are you like a biblically a biblical person, like, do you read the Bible and try to apply it to your life?
Right.
Have a relationship with Jesus where you trying to talk things out with him every day, you know?
Specific
right.
now. Yeah.
Seriously. Like, celibacy, are you okay with, goodness, just us talking about the Bible, prayer? Like, do you know how to fight some battles with the Lord? Like, I don't know. It could seem like a lot, but I feel like this is like biblical stuff,
Yeah.
like red flags, anything that's not that. Like, as soon as I tell people, like, cause like, I remember this one guy was like, are you sexually healthy or physically healthy? And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to have sex until I'm married. And then, like, I don't know what happened to our conversation. That thing was gone. Okay. Like that was so crazy. But I think that that's what I'm looking for. Someone who's truly trying to pursue God and truly trying to be pure. And I'm not saying we're not going to have our weaknesses. Of course I have my weaknesses.
Right.
How women ovulate every month. Mm-hmm. That's a every month temptation. like it's a lot. So of course we're going to have our weakness, but I feel like we need to have that foundation.
Yeah.
So,
what you got?
I mean, do you think that there would be a part 2? Do you think, like, would you write something else? Or like, obviously this is the end of that chapter, like you said.
Right.
But, now that you've gotten your fix of writing, do you want to continue doing that?
Definitely. I would like to have like a workbook so that, a woman going through divorce or, contemplating divorce can like kind of go through some different things and like learn how to like heal, like really heal and deal with different things that she's going through, and knowing that these emotions that she's feeling is normal. So I'd like to do that, like with like a self-love, like monthly checklist, like doing things that you love. So I want to do definitely a workbook, and I'd love to write about finding a ring.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah. All right, nice. Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I guess aside from the divorce, like, well, I guess this is part of the divorce. You have a son, so how is that like dealing with that, and I guess explaining it to him, because eventually he will read the book, I guess.
Yeah,
he'll find it. But how do you? I don't know. How is that like single parenting as far as explaining? I don't know, everything from dating to dealing with your dad. Like, how does that go?
Yeah, that goes with a lot of prayer.
Right.
I want to be very careful with how old he is and what he can handle, because you see him kind of trying to figure out things now. I don't feel like he's like at an age where he can kind of realize everything yet, but I know that will come. And I want to ask the Lord for some guidance. I never want to talk bad about his dad, but at the same time, I do want to be honest and truthful about what happened.
Yeah.
And I definitely encourage his relationship with his dad. I'm not that like baby. No, he did call me a baby mother, but I'm not a baby mother. I do. I'm not the type of ex-wife that's like, oh, I'm gonna hold this child against you. Like, no, at all. I encourage his relationship with his dad. Like, whenever he sees him, whatever he wants to do with him, I'm like, yes. I try to involve him in, doctor appointments, school talks, like whatever it is. I try to involve his dad. But I think that like one thing that I had to work on was like controlling that relationship. Because I know that I didn't grow up with my dad, so I didn't want that to happen with my son. So I would purposely and intentionally do things to make sure, like, okay, he's with him. And so I had to learn to kind of like not do that and let him be the father that he is, whether I approve of how he's doing it or not. Yeah. But letting him be that dad, which was pretty tough, because like you know that like what you went through, you don't want them to go through, but you really can't control it. And that's where a lot of prayer comes in.
Yeah.
So.
I do want to ask one more thing. When when we drive across Florida or wherever, you'll see like those divorce billboards that are like, get a divorce quick or whatever. What is that process like? Like, is that something that is drawn out for years? Or I'm sure it's different for every couple, but like, what did that look like?
For us, I feel like it was really, really quick. I never got served divorce papers, I guess because I had moved already. So it probably came when I was gone.
Yeah.
But like he told me he had filed. So I like called the court system for the paperwork and then they sent it to me. And then there were some things I didn't agree with. So I hired a lawyer. And then we had a mediation where we discussed everything that was in the paperwork. And then after that, it was to meet with the judge to finalize everything. So ours went really quick because we agreed on the things that we put on the paper. And because the only thing that was holding us together was our son. So we were very agreeable and peaceful people. And that's what I had prayed about, like whatever it was, he knows that I'm a peaceful person. So whoever he had become, he just like, I felt like the Lord just worked it out to make it be peaceful, agreeable. And then we were done. Now, like some of the other people that I know, they cannot agree on anything. We have some guys out here that do not want to pay child support. So they will say that they want like the child every other week, which is not really what they're going to do. They just want to say that so they can avoid paying child support. So when you cannot agree, it can go on for years because y'all not agreeing on anything.
Wow.
So people who it's been like 5 years, 10 years, like,
oh no.
Yes. And the more that you have together, like let's say you have properties together or whatever, the more you got to agree on.
Yeah.
So if y'all can't agree, and people get really crazy in the divorce process. Like it's like they switch.
Yeah.
So mine went really quick and it was very peaceful. And I thank God for that because that was a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I think I got one last question.
Problem.
And then I want to end on like a better note. Higher note.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have a question about did you, and I don't know if you covered this in the book, was there any like shame that came with your divorce? And if so, like how did you deal with it, get over it? Because I'm assuming that's something that, especially as Christians, that a lot of people maybe carry after something like a divorce. Like how did you get over that?
Definitely a lot of shame because I'm like, I feel like I'm a pretty smart woman. So how did I go wrong here? And then also I feel like I waited, Lord, like kind of like Job. Like I felt like I was so good, like how let this happen type thing. So it was a lot of shame. It was shame even like going to small group. Like, do I go to a small group with singles and they're young and they want to get married and I'm dealing with that? Or do I go to a small group with all these married couples because they do have a family and I have a son too. Yeah. So it was a lot of shame because I had to kind of like I know that I needed to be around people, but it was very hard to know who I wanted to be around. So there was a lot of shame associated with that. How did I get through that? I think I just kind of endured and pushed through it. Like I remember I went to one small group with families and the first question that the pastor guy asked was, where's your man? How's your man doing? Because I guess he didn't really know what had happened. And I remember thinking, like, you know how people are so happy you don't want to kind of like be that person that's like a downer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think what I said often during those times were pray for him, but even saying that is like, dang,
right.
what's going on? So it was a lot of shame. And I think that I just endured. I just endured and I just told people, I vented. I was really trying to make sure that I deal with every emotion because I can be a stuffer of emotions. And I was really trying not to do that. So I literally just went through it. There was no like, ooh, say this word and say this truth. And all of a sudden the shame is gone. Nah, like I legit went through it and just had to keep working it out.
Yeah.
All right. So where can we buy your book? Let's sit on a high note.
No, but that's real. That's real though.
Yeah, it is real. It is, like, through it all, the Lord is faithful. I do want to let people know that the Lord is faithful. For the give to him, the more that he will definitely guide you, even when you make mistakes, because we're human and we're going to make mistakes, but have those people that's going to help you to keep encouraging you. But you can purchase my book on Amazon, and
The Loss of My Wedding Ring.
Yes, it's
get the whole thing. There we go.
Yes. And then I also have my website that you can purchase my book from, www.IamRaquelKing.com.
Nice. Okay. All right. And then where can they follow you?
So you
send you a DM if they want to date.
Oh gosh.
Oh, sorry. We're not doing that today.
They could. They could. They do be sending DMs, but it'd be crazy. So it's legit, because I'm known for blocking people. Yeah, like all the things I went through, I'm like, nah, like this ain't it. And then like if you're gonna come and say hi and you're not like telling me like what you're up to, I don't want to say hi to you every day. Okay, that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Right, we'll say that.
Instagram. My Instagram is encouragement by Raquel.
Okay.
And my Facebook is Raquel King.
And we'll put all of that on the screen while you're talking, and in the info, of course. Thank you so much for writing this book, being so transparent. I don't think we see enough of that in the church. And yeah, being so open, that's what this is for. Like, it's for, if we go through trials, for other people to see like God can still work in your life, whether you reconcile or you divorce, like he's still there. So thank you for coming on and answering all these questions.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right.
Good.
Yeah, let's move on. All right. So after that, Michel Matter, this business spotlight, honestly, is just highlighting Raquel's book, The Loss of My Wedding Ring. As I said, I'm a few chapters in. It's really good. And it's also like just the millennial viewpoint, maybe because I know her too, and I'm close to the story of just like how one kind of deals with divorce at a young age, and that there's life after divorce as well, whether you're reconciling or whether you're parting ways and moving on. Yeah, I think it's a good read, and I think just learning through other people's testimonies.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, like that's one of those books. I think for me, when I'm reading now, I'm trying to take Sundays for like just deeper development type reads, right? But from a Christian's perspective, for the most part. And so that is one of my books where it's like, okay, let me dive into this, right? Like, this is just like, it's like a serious view. Like, I'm right there as to what's going on. And sometimes you could think of like divorce or couples who have divorced, and you're just like, well, why couldn't they get through that? Or why couldn't, like, what was it that bad? Or was it whatever? It's actually like, a perspective from the person who's going through it as to like why they ended up divorced. So
and it's your friend, so you kind of get to know your friend a little better.
Exactly.
Maybe some things that they couldn't verbalize, but they were able to write.
Yeah, and it's like some things I was there for, some things I was like, oh, I didn't even know, like,
you were going
like, how could I be a better friend in those type of situations?
Yeah, and I think there's something to learn for anyone, in whether it is through reading someone else's account of a situation, whether it's knowing the right words to say to someone who's going through something similar, or even advice that you'll need for yourself as a married person, like trying to navigate this whole thing. Right. There's no blueprint, but I'm definitely open to like advice or just seeing where, maybe somewhere where other people went wrong, so where to zig where other people zag. So
correct.
So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, man.
Definitely go check out the book. We'll probably have a link in the show description. So yeah, make sure you guys support. Check it out.
Yes.
That I think we can end.
That's it, guys.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Another one in the books.
Bye.
I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That just might work, ayy. That just might work. That just might work.